Good evening, Peter. How are you getting on?
I'm very well. How are you?
Very good, very good, very good. How's your week been?
Brilliant. It's absolutely pouring with rain outside just now. I can hear it rattling on the roof.
I can hear it from here too.
Yeah. No, it's been. Yeah, I've had a great week. Yeah, it's been really good. It's been fine. We've been on holiday this week for the schools. The schools go back. Tomorrow. Well, the kids don't go back to Wednesday in Shetland. Looking forward to this. This is really exciting tonight because we've got lots of things going on. So, hello, folks. Anybody out there that's watching, can you share this about whatever you're watching on? We're going to tell you some bits and pieces about what's going on tonight. How's your shed going? You've been building a shed this week.
I was building a shed in Murphy. I've nearly started. The
pipe shed.
It's good. Well, hopefully it's a pipe shed, but it's turned into a garden shed and a bike shed instead. So
there's Brian Forrest down on the borders there. Hi, Brian. So Ali and that. Listen, as many folks as possible, please share it about for us.
Yeah. I think you're going to explain the difference. What the difference is this week, Peter. You're the best man for this.
Yeah, we've actually we're going to bring a couple of chaps on in a minute, but we're actually working in collaboration and kind of partnership now with Tunes in the House. So it's Tartan Tunes and Tunes in the House, and we're streaming at the same time on both sites. So there's going to be a lot of new audience members out there to us. We've been doing the show since about the beginning of September, but there's a lot of the Tunes in the House audience that we probably have not met before. So I hope if you are there, folks, that you're joining in, and great to have you here. And we also want you to pop in comments to us. Pop in where you are. Let us know how you are. Any questions you've got for us. I'm Peter Wood. That's Ross McNaughton. I'm in Shetland. Ross is in Pitlochry. And we've been hosting this for a couple of months. And we bring on a couple of guests, usually every week, and get some tunes, get some crack, and let you meet the musicians, which is absolutely fantastic. So it's great.
I've just seen somebody from Wollongong, and I've never seen that.
That's a new place. There's Davey Hunter. I've seen him before.
Oh.
That's it. So we want you to share this about as much as possible, folks, and join in with us and have fun, and send in any comments you want, and let us have a look at them. Ross, do you want to tell folk maybe what we're going out on tonight? Now we've always just went out and tapped on Tunes Facebook Live and YouTube. That's all we've done before.
Before the partnership, if you want to call it that.
Yep.
We've been out on our Facebook page and on YouTube, the Tartan Tunes Facebook and YouTube page. But now we're out on the same, and we're in Tunes in the House. We're on the Peter Wood music page, which you can speak about later if you like, Peter.
Yeah, that's just on Facebook. Yep.
And we're also on Twitter and Twitch, which is the fourth one.
Twitter and Twitch.
Twitter and Twitch, yeah. Which was our old nicknames, actually, on different shows, I think.
Really? Well, do you know the Twitter thing's the wee bird, doesn't it?
That's Twitter. Donald Trump and that, so it's not so wee, it's pretty big.
All right. And Twitch, it's easy to remember because we've had all these Twitchers up here in Shetland for about the last fortnight looking for birds.
There you go.
So Twitchers, Twitch and Twitch, Twitters. Yeah, no bother. Brilliant. Yeah, that's a lot of different avenues we're going out on, folks. What we wanted to do tonight was Tunes in the House has been running since the beginning of the lockdown as well. And it's the two Martin McLeods that really have put that all together. And we thought nobody ever sees them because it's a collaboration site. Well, we see Martin Senior because he plays the fiddle and he plays the bass and things, but we don't see Martin Junior just very much. So I think we could invite the boys on and let them say what we're up to. What do you think?
There again. Good. Yeah, great.
Fantastic. Hello, Martin.
Hello, Peter. Hello, Ross. How are you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
We have two Martins.
Thank you for having us on.
So just so you folks know, Martin Senior is in Pitlochry.
That's me.
Yeah. You can't tell. You couldn't tell. I would never have told. Brothers,
No.
look like brothers. And Martin is just along the road for Ross and Pitlochry, and Martin Jr. is in Glasgow just now, in Partick in Glasgow, aren't you? I think that's what you told me the other day.
Yeah.
So, lads, this is very exciting. There was Trish giving us a wee nice word there. So, what we want to say is, we kind of went into partnership, weren't we, with Tunes in the House and Tartan Tunes. You guys have been doing the collaboration thing big time since March. This one's been slightly different, and we're kind of joining it together, kind of style thing to cover another avenue in a way. So, have you anything you would like to say about all of this?
Yeah, I think we followed the show since September, and I think you've done a great job. And it's very different to Tunes in the House, because with Tunes in the House, we only see little squares of these people's lives, and what you have is an opportunity to go further than that and have some of these musicians back, learn a bit about them, have them play a couple of tunes. We think it's a really great platform, and I think a lot of your aspirations with the platform really fall in line with ours, and that is to promote Scottish music and the Scottish scene and all these incredible artists. So it's a no-brainer just to connect together and use our platforms to widen that reach as far as possible.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And Father there, he's here to keep us all together and make sure we don't do anything crazy.
No. No, I mean, that as Martin says, that was the thing. The Tunes in the House is really promoting the whole tradition, especially right now when, all the players and all the musicians, whether they're full-time, part-time, doing it as a hobby, nobody's getting to do anything really other than what you guys are doing, and us as well, bringing everybody together, giving them a chance to play. And what we're going to be doing, I think, over the next few months, because normally November through to January is usually pretty busy for the trad scene. You've always got we've got St Andrew's night coming up, we've got the Christmas run, we've got New Year, Hogmanay, and then right through to Burns and all that. So there's all these quite big dates in the traditional scene coming up. So we're going to do a bit of focusing on theme nights and trying to get that piece of it covered, make sure we get as much around the themes. So that'll be our wee focus. Well, you can do all the interviews with everybody, and we'll try and keep the music going at the same time.
Yeah, and that's going to work really well as well, because Ross and I were talking about that earlier. We're doing the same probably type themes, like say in January it'll be Burns, and end of November it'll be St Andrews. Christmas time's going to be interesting. I've got my outfit getting pressed already, and wait till you see Halloween.
I forgot about Halloween, actually. Yeah, that's coming up first, isn't it?
Halloween next week, and our two guests are actually two Irishmen from New York next week. So it's a big, so we're going worldwide with this. It's fantastic. It's all over the place.
And you've got great guests on. You've got great guests on tonight. I know you've got Archie and Will Pound coming on, and I certainly know Archie a long time, and great to see both of them on the programme.
Fantastic musicians. And we're finding everybody's quite happy and wanting to come on the show because of the format it's kind of taken, and it's given the musicians the chance to say, come on and push a book or a concert they're maybe going to do or something like that. And the idea of this is this will continue and keep going and going, even if things do go back to something like the norm. Hopefully we'll still keep it going as another platform, as a new avenue that we can still advance on. And I know we were speaking earlier, we've got other plans for the audience out there that we're maybe going to do some wee broadcasts and then talk to the band after it and things like that. And we've got a lot going on, folks. There's going to be a lot happening.
I certainly know the show when you were on, Martin, earlier. You opened the eyes to a lot of people, folk like myself, actually, to what people were doing online, musicians were doing online. And I think the Tunes in the House has been a fantastic avenue for people to go down. It's been unreal. And the story about the book or the session sort of stuff is everybody's street, I think.
Aye, and I really take my hat off to all the guys who are doing their live, like you, Peter. You're doing it live things every week, just about, and Archie and a lot of other people are doing that, and I really take my hat off to them because that's just keeping everything going. So the more people are doing that stuff, the really keeping the whole thing alive and visible.
Yeah.
I think too as well. A few months ago, well, back at the start of lockdown, I think at least I felt like what's going to happen to this scene? Is it gonna die over the next wee while? What's going to happen with it? And I think if anything, out of all the things that have been happening in that window, it just goes to show that this scene is alive and well. There's a fire brewing, and I think that.
I think it's stronger than we thought it was.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's we've met so many new musicians that you wouldn't even have heard of thanks to social media. I think it's a testament to the will of the Scottish people, especially in this music scene.
Absolutely,
it's still going strong.
And hats off to yourselves, guys. Even though you've got a hat on there, Martin, it's all right. But hats off. But you've done an incredible amount of work. The tech side on it's went really well, because it's one of these things. If it hadn't been done well, it would have just flopped away. But it's been done really well.
Very well.
There's people all over the world thoroughly enjoying it. But the other thing we didn't realise, I suppose, was how there was people in isolation before this lockdown. There was lots of people that couldn't get out of the house that were sitting in. And that's become very evident as well. They're actually just relying on this. They love it. They're getting to meet the musicians and join in and be part of the family. And that's what we want this show to be. And I know Tunes in the House is exactly the same. You want
exactly the same. You see it in the comments every week, Peter. People just say, it's the highlight of their week sometimes. That's the main thing, just to something to listen to and join
just
in
like
with.
one great big family of musicians and listeners alike, and it's just fantastic, and it just works really, really well. Anyway, lads, thank you for coming on. Thank you. Here's to success for the future. We'll keep in touch and we'll keep the good folk going with all these different projects we're going to have. And I was going to say go away for a pint in the pub, but you can't, because everyone's shut, isn't it?
Well, we can't. Yeah, no, we can't. No, we can't. You're right.
No, that's it. Okay, lads.
Have a good show.
All the best. Take care.
Thank you very much.
What
an exciting week, Peter. What an exciting week.
Wonderful people to join in and work with. And this is all about the music, folks. We're not making loads of money out of this or nothing. Everybody's just doing this and keeping the music going. And that's what's happening. So it's great. There's Gina. Hi, Gina. I called her Daphne, thinking that was her name, and it wasn't.
I've been calling you Daphne, thinking it's your name. What are you playing tonight, Peter? What's in the cards?
Oh, there's someone in Finland there tonight. Fantastic.
Great stuff.
That's wonderful. What I'm going to do a wee set of reels. Quick set of reels. And then we'll do a wee set of tunes each, and then get on to there's Gene Swanson. They were great folk. That's the thing, folks. If you want to look back at old shows, if you've never seen them before, they're all on our Tartan Tunes Facebook page and on YouTube. If you go on and search for Tartan Tunes Scottish Sessions, you'll find it all there. Anyway, I'm going to play the Floors of Edinburgh tonight.
Take it away, Peter. Take it away, boy.
Away. There we go.
Very good. And I actually recognise that tune off your CDs there, Peter.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's a set on there. The Floors of Edinburgh Breakdown, which I've nearly had a few of in the past 6 months. The next one was Willafjord, the old Greenland whaling tune.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. Eh?
And the last one was the Easy Club by Jim Sullivan.
Yeah, fantastic.
Which was also a fantastic group.
Great stuff, great stuff.
So, brilliant, folks. If you're enjoying all this, please share it about. Let folk know that we're in all these different places, and let's see what happens. That'd be cool. And any questions, get them in. Jenny, I'm glad your feet are tapping. That's great. Oh, hello, Jenna. There's Jenna. We had Jenna on as a guest there not long ago. Fantastic.
That's great to see. There's loads of, we've been, now that we're in a partnership, it's great to see all these fresh names as well. So I hope we can make everybody as welcome as. I
like one of my pupils on from the island of Walsall. They're saying I've been practicing tonight. That's what I like to hear. That's good.
I'm going to have every month I kind of have a theme. This month it's been Highland dancing.
Isabel said you were nearly caught dancing there.
I know, I
Good job you weren't picking your nose, eh?
I know. Right, so I'm gonna talk about a theme. I'm gonna play Caledonia. That's been requested. Because I know the first guest that we're going to get on is going to blow everybody's mind. So I'm going to play something slow.
Yeah.
Play something slow. But I want to talk a little bit about the theme that I'm going to have for next month. Davey Hunter, who's a great friend of the show, was the last guest that we had that sent a book in. So next month, and I'm very honoured for Davey to have asked me to put a video in to put into this video recital he's got for the launch. And I know you're part of this as well. And actually, there's actually quite a few guests of the show. There's been Kyle Howie, John Dew, yourself, myself, Claire that was on earlier, Isla Stout, who's going to be a future guest of the show, and quite a few others actually. So he's went about this a different way. So I think for November, I think my theme's going to be, and I've done a bit of prep here. Freeland Barber.
Excellent.
So books that have been friends of the show. Freeland Barber. Gordon Shan's Johnny book. This book that I think from Japan, it's all upside down. You've seen this. Yeah. You've seen this. He's wearing the same shirt. So that's going to be the theme for November. Is all the friends of the show that sent bookings. I'm going to do sets for the books, I think.
And I'll do some tunes for the books too that nights as well, and we'll make it theme nights. Great.
A theme night for November. So, but one of the things I've been asked to play tonight has been Caledonia.
Yep.
And I'd very much like for the person that wrote this tune to be a guest of the show in the future. So.
Oh yeah, well we'll work on them.
Welcome. So I'm going to play Caledonia by Dougie MacLean.
Yeah.
And that's a request by Gwen McIntyre from Murphy.
Excellent. Well done. Lovely tune.
Wee quick tune.
But also a lovely song when you hear the words.
Aye.
And you've actually I think you've just landed me in it, because somebody up the road here asked if I'd play that in the pipes for them, and I hadn't ever played it in the pipes before. That's Alan Barnett said he hadn't heard it in the pipes. And I tell them it didn't work in the pipes, just to get out of it.
Well, that's my favourite thing.
So you've just
dumping somebody else in it, so there we go.
That's it, yeah. So, but there we go. So anyway, folks, any comments, just keep them coming into us. Let us know how you're getting on, where you are, what's going. There's Ali Meek. Evening, Ali. We have two amazing guests tonight. Really looking forward to this.
Me too.
Can you take over and introduce our first guest, please?
I would love to. I'd love to introduce the next guest. This, a bit of a correlation to you as well, Peter. When lockdown first happened at the end of March last year, one of the things, when we started to know that it was going to be a long-term thing, one of the things that I did was I looked at musicians, what they were doing, what people were doing from their house. And you were the first person, Peter, actually, and I'm sure you remember that I sent you a video of me trying to play alongside you, very crudely on two different places. Yeah. Actually, the very next day, I looked even further to see who else was doing stuff like this, and this was this guy that I found that I didn't know anything about this guy, and I found probably one of my favourite musicians I've ever found in my whole life, and I'm absolutely blown away that he's going to be on the show. He's a mouth organ. He plays the harmonica, and my granddad was a massive, a great entertainer and mouth organ player, and I'm just blown away that this guy's on the show. So,
yeah, my father played the Muthi as well. He was,
yeah.
In fact, my mum was telling me today she found one of his tiny little mouthies. You know, the tiny wee one you could keep in your key ring, with 4 notes on it or something.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah. So hopefully he's ready to come on. There he is.
Hey guys.
Hi, Will. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thank you. Doing great.
Fantastic.
Ladies and gentlemen, Will Pound. And Will is in Carnarvon, Wales, tonight. So
yeah,
he's in stricter restrictions than the rest of us just now.
Yeah, we're full on lockdown.
Yeah.
Full on lockdown. I know everybody that tunes into the show might have seen your bio that's on the biography that we've got on. Yeah. One of the first things that I seen when I first came across one of your YouTube videos
Mm.
And it's one of the things that's quite important to myself and Peter is how people get into music. And one of the first videos I seen about you was you telling your story of how you first found the harmonica. And that's a very touching story.
Yeah. Would you like me to elaborate a little bit?
Yeah.
A little bit. That'd be great.
What came first, the harmonica or the box?
The harmonica came first. Yeah. I was about I was about 10 or 11 when I sort of got into it, so to speak, and yeah, basically I had open heart surgery when I was tiny, when I was a baby, and I had sort of breathing problems as a result of it. Obviously when I was growing up, but my dad and also a friend of mine who sadly passed away, actually was a harmonica player this year from COVID, actually, my friend Ted, and they sort of both encouraged me to have a go, and so I did, and I just really enjoyed the sound of it, really, and so I'm self-taught. So sort of I didn't really have a teacher, so I kind of have to I had to kind of just make stuff up and see how it worked and all that kind of thing. But it's such an enjoyable instrument, and and I didn't really, this sounds a bit funny, but when I was growing up I didn't really listen to other harmonica players. I listened to like banjo, I listened to fiddle, I listened to sitar, also or a range of instruments, and the reason why I didn't listen to harmonica, it wasn't because I didn't respect players that played it, because I did. It's amazing players out there, but it's just because I wanted to get my own sound, and that's how it so I learned triplets off, I don't know, the banjo or the fiddle, or all sorts of things like that.
Yeah.
So that's how I got.
Wonderful instrument for a youngster to learn as well, because it's not too expensive to buy.
No, they're not. They're really not.
You can keep it in your pocket. And I think like one of my favourite musicians of all time is Woody Guthrie. And like you said about the instrument, he probably was never taught how to play it, but he was just replicating sounds.
Yeah.
That he would have heard at that era, whether it was the rail or the part of America that he was in. He was replicating sounds through that.
Yeah.
And I think the special thing, this instrument, like you can make it sound like something you can hear, and it's an incredible thing. Yeah,
it's great. I mean, I did some. I went to Bulgaria last year for a project I was doing, and and so I was learning sort of Bulgarian tunes and things like that, and and I have sort of harmonicas made for me, so that are sort of in those tunings, which is quite cool, sort of tones and things like that.
Yeah. Do they work with quarter note and stuff like that?
Yeah, well, actually, it's interesting. So I work with there's a harmonica creator or maker called Brendan Power. He's a great player, and I work with him a little bit. And he has created quarter tone harmonicas before. But I also came up with my own breathing technique on a chromatic, so I play chromatic a bit as well, and to sort of make that sound. So it's quite mad.
Yeah, brilliant.
I'd absolutely love for everybody to hear you play, if you don't mind playing at this stage, if you've got a wee set.
No, I'll definitely play some tunes. So I'll play you. I'll kick off with a couple of tunes. So I'll play a jig first. There's a jig called Jimmy Ward's, which is a great Irish jig, and then I'm going to carry on with a sort of Irish American style tune called the Red Haired Boy or the Jolly Beggar Man. It's got a few names. So anyway, I hope you enjoy.
Thank you. Take it away.
Wow.
Absolutely fantastic.
Cheers. Thank you.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Enormous
Yeah.
sound from
I'm
a small.
regularly quoted for being envious because mostly we get fiddle players and accordionists and piano players. And as a bagpiper, I'm always jealous of the range that these instruments have. But you've come on with something about this size that's absolutely smashed my instrument out the park. Well, that is amazing. Absolutely amazing to hear. And these sounds that are so, I don't care who listens to it, they can relate that bend in the notes that you can do in the harmonica relate to so much feeling that everybody has, whether they're a musician or not. I think it's fantastic.
Amazing, amazing. You said Brendan Bauer was a friend of yours as well.
Yeah, so I know Brendan just through playing harmonica. Really, even met at festivals, harmonica festivals, and I am actually an endorsee of one of his harmonicas. It's it's called sort of Paddy Richter tuning. And so in fact, I was using it just now. Actually, it's a tuning that Brendan came up. I don't know, it must be about 20 years ago now. But and so and it's used in traditional music quite a lot. This particular tuning on harmonicas. So you know,
is a different playing technique to each of these tunings?
Yes, I guess so. So basically, there's only a one note difference. So basically, he's changed one note down the bottom, sort of in the lower range, and it just makes it easier to sort of play. So I mean, So I'll give you a quick demonstration actually. So with these two harps, so for example, these two harmonicas are both in B flat, right? B flat major. Now, if I play this one. This is just a normal B flat harp, so like a blues harp, essentially. So, and if I wanted to play a reel in G minor, I'd have to bend for the bottom G. That bottom note, right? Now, when you're playing fast reels, that's great, but it's a bit of a pain, you know, to do that, you know. Whereas what Brendan did, so that's on a sub note. What Brendan did is he put that note, that G, on the blow.
Right.
And so it just makes it a lot easier for playing your reels and your jigs and things like that. It just opens it up a lot more. But it's not just good for trad, it's like good for everything, you know, really. Good for blues.
Can I ask, do you use circular breathing when you're playing as well then?
No, it's interesting. I do get asked that a lot, but I mean, I guess that the technique, I guess it's similar to sort of singing techniques and things like that. So lots of breathing techniques. So I do that in my practice, you know, and all that kind of thing. And that's I'd say that's 80% of the playing really. It's the breathing technique rather than the actual notes, if that makes sense.
Sure. Wow.
Such a fantastic instrument. I looked at some of the people that you've been playing with on the internet, and Jen Buttersworth.
That's great.
And the interesting thing about that, I'd watched a lot. I've heard her name a few times. But I've watched you a lot, and encourage everybody to watch that video that you sent.
It's had a few views.
It went a bit bonkers. It was funny. We sort of did it on the hoof, and and it was. I think it was quite near the start of lockdown. It was like back in March, April kind of time, and then it went a bit bonkers. And then recently it went bonkers again because Sharon Shannon shared it. She got hold of it and shared it on her music page, I think, and so people started sharing it again.
Because my family loved the mouth organ because of my granddad. And I introduced my mum and my dad to you a few months ago, and I showed them this video, and I said, "Wait to the end. The end's the best bit because at the very end, all you do is put the harmonica down and press stop, and Jen falls off her guitar. And it's such a good statement of like, there's just and that's such a beautiful ending for two musicians where." There's and that's what you miss, like finishing and having a laugh or a journey or that concentration. You know?
She's a fab player, Jen, as well. I met her last year at Orkney Folk Festival.
She's an amazing guitarist.
Fantastic. So, what have you got any projects on the go just now with artists, or are you doing much, or are you?
Yeah, to be honest, it's quite busy. So at the moment, I'm doing a tune book. I'm doing 2 tune books at the moment. I'm recording them at home. So I've got a tune book of an album that I did sort of released back in May, which was about the EU actually. So I did 27 tunes from 27 states of the EU. So which was pretty mammoth project. And I had Jen playing on that actually. She was playing guitar on that. And we had Evelyn Glennie, who's the Scottish play on that. And so I'm doing tunes from that. So they're being written out and they'll be on Bandcamp actually, on my sort of website Bandcamp thing. And then all my own tunes as well. Sort of doing a book of those as well. Sort of people can download them as well.
Yeah. So can people go on your website then and download tunes and things like that, tracks or whatever they want to do?
They will do once I've released it. So that I'm hoping in sort of December. So it'll either be on my website or it'll either be on Bandcamp. But there'll be a link either way on my website to the Bandcamp.
Just remember that in December we'll redo this as well for you as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm actually keeping busy, and you know, sort of we've got projects sort of potentially scheduled for next year, but who knows? You know, we're just seeing how it rolls, you know. But it's all good, you know, enjoying it.
But you
on you go, Peter.
Sorry, you were just cracking up a wee bit there. On you go.
No, but there are projects that musicians are the stuff that they're bringing out that they didn't think they would do, and they're making a success out of it. They're getting new views, different people. They're getting shared by different outlets, and for some musicians, and that's the encouraging thing that we should all be doing for each other and introducing to other people, that as long as you keep putting out there is music's always the therapy for people, I think.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I do these regular concerts on a Sunday, and it's quite nice because there's a sort of regular community now, you know, each Sunday, and people chat to each other, and I really like that, you know. It's and I don't charge for it, you know. I put a tip jar out there, and you know, it's just really nice because people, and I do it for an hour, you know, sort of from 11:30 to 12:30, you know, on Sunday.
Yeah, and you've got a very, like, my parents have cottoned onto this as well. And you've got they say you've got a very therapeutic voice.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I do like the banter, I have to say. Banter,
are you doing that live on Facebook then, or?
Yeah, it's live on Facebook. So I do that live on my music page, which is just Will Pound music, I think, or Will Pound. And then I've got a Zoom gig coming up as well on the 11th of November. So there's a link on my on my music page there, and you can go and find the tickets. So that's on the 11th of November. So if you do fancy coming to that, so that'll be a Zoom gig.
And so I'm definitely going to join that. Can you explain to me how exactly I do that? And
so it's quite interesting. So there's an organisation called Live to Your Living Room, and they've been sort of putting on concerts with different musicians, and it's quite amazing. So what they do is they send you a mixing desk and a laptop, and they do the sound sort of remotely, and then I've luckily got some really nice mics here, so I'll you know, it'll be like a little studio session essentially, but it'll be on Zoom, and so people get invited to Zoom, and then you can actually, it's like a question and answer thing. So it's not just me doing a gig. I mean, it is, but people will get to chat to me and you know, ask about the music. So it's similar to what you guys are doing, really, and you know, with me this evening. And so it'll be really nice. And you know, so if you go and book your tickets if you fancy that.
Yeah, so where people can book the tickets on your website for that, can't they?
Yeah, they can go to my website, or they can go to the live to your living room.com.
Live to your living room. We'll share that as well. That's
I think Karen maybe found that.
I sent Karen a link, so she should be able to send it out.
Yeah, she'll put it up, but it'll certainly be on her page anyway.
Yeah, one of the people that you mentioned that you collaborated with before was Dame Evelyn Glennie.
Yeah.
Who was actually a very big fan of a Pitlochry musician called Gordon Duncan, who was a piper, a very famous piper.
Yeah.
She was very interested in his music, and that got me looking into some of the other collaborations that he did, and I was absolutely blown away with Concerto Caledonia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and because and then I looked into some of the stuff. Like I love Pibroch, and I never get to speak about this in this show. Pibroch is like the classical, the old classical music.
We haven't barred him from speaking about it. It's just he gets a bit excited and gets a bit carried away when he.
But
it's like an extreme jazz. He kind of goes into a kind of zone and.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I've speaking to pipers, actually, like the pipe bands haven't been out for so long, and a lot of the big pipe bands winter is practice, and it's a big social thing, a big practice thing. They've not had that, and I've spoken to quite a lot of pipers that have, like myself, actually, have went down other avenues and been introduced to new music and seen other things, and I've had more time to go back to Pibroch and get into that zone and that zone. And when I was listening to Concerto Caledonia, they've got a fantastic track called the Seal Fisherman Song.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
Which, if there's any pipers that are watching that play Pibroch, go and look at Concerto Caledonia and just try and imagine. It's not on the pipes, but it's structured very, very similar. It builds and builds and builds, and I think that's like, instead of having a competing style Pibroch where you have to be in this, you should be able to play it any way you like,
Yeah.
And I love the way that's the way I'd like to play a Pibroch, is the way I heard that in that tune, and I think that's an example of how you could expand your own ownership of music, if you like.
Yeah,
I love that.
Maybe I should try and write a Pibroch for the accordion.
Do it.
I'll just dig a hole for it.
Yeah, that'd be half a book itself. And then you play box as well, though, Will?
I do. Yeah, I do play the box. I play DG box, and I sort of took that up when I was properly. I took it up when I was about 17 or so. When I was just before I went to university, and so it's kind of related to the harmonica. So and I play all sorts of stuff on it. I mean, I play a bit of ragtime, play jazz and folk, trad stuff as well. I just like experimenting on it, really. I also do this thing which I'll demonstrate to you in a minute, where I play the bass of the box and the harmonica at the same time.
All right. Okay.
That's the sort of thing that I'll show you guys that in a minute, and that's quite a nice sound, because it just kind of gives it a bit of body underneath,
like a drone nearly.
Yeah, I guess so, a bit like a drone, and I'll tell you what, I'll play you another set and I'll demonstrate it if
fantastic. Sounds good to me. Sounds good.
Right. Okay, let's have a go. Okay. So I'm going to play 3 tunes. So I'm going to play. What am I going to play? I'm going to play Soldier's Joy. So it's quite a well-known tune, and then the Golden Stud Reel, which is written by a guy called Kieran Hannigan. Stockton's Wing, I think, a fantastic band. And then I'm going to finish off with a tune called John Stenson's Number 2. Anyway, I hope you enjoy this.
Fantastic.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Fantastic.
That's right.
Oh man, Ross, I'm going to try and play box and juggle.
Yeah.
I might eat fire. Actually.
You said you learnt the harmonica very early in life, and then the box came later. When did the two mix? Did it mix naturally very early on? Or?
No, not really. I'd say about 4 years ago. Basically, I was going to do a solo gig, and I sort of arranged a set where it was just either harmonica or either box, sort of separately. But I was like, well, I wonder if I can actually combine the two. And sort of create quite an interesting sound. And the thing is, that's sort of one sound you've heard, but then there's sort of there's so many options, with it. So a quick example, sort of like. So there's lots of different genres you can do. There's a track that I do on some of my gigs where it's almost like acoustic trance, and it's using that harmonica actually. It's a tune called the Morgan Rattler. It's quite a sort of fairly well-known trad tune. I think it's either English or Irish, and but basically I sort of created a sort of version of it where it's sort of like trance essentially. Using sort of slight sort of mouth percussion and then the beats on here. So this is the sort of the bass like you'd get in a dance club or whatever, and then using the harp as a kind of melody and the chords, So there's but then you can do sort of more bluegrassy stuff with it, or and so on and so on.
Bluegrass. I think bluegrass, Cajun and bluegrass is my favorite.
Yeah,
I love that. I don't know what it is.
Able to get your banjo out.
I've got a banjo. I'll show you this.
Yeah,
I've got a 5-string behind me. And
have you?
It's been sitting there since March.
It's been sitting there since March. But do you know what? I usually put the small pipes when I put beside them on the chair. But sometimes when I do it, the strap just hits the strings, and instantly, it doesn't matter what you do to a banjo, it just sounds ready. love that. I love it.
What?
But something about the harmonica, the accordion and the banjo together. There's just that raw readiness of music.
Yeah.
I love that. I love it.
Yeah. Well, I play with an accordion player quite often. It's a guy called Eddie J. Who I play with, and there's stuff on YouTube that we've done, and I toured with him quite a lot, sort of internationally, overseas, and it's quite interesting because they both obviously read instruments, and sort of you have to kind of keep out each other's way. That's been quite fun. That's where a lot of my rhythmical playing came from, was from playing with Eddie.
Yeah. Because I was wanting to kind of ask you about that. You've got quite a broad spectrum of genres that you've been involved with, haven't you? I mean, you've not just been traditional. Was it traditional to begin with, or was it?
Sort of, yeah. So, my sins. I'll admit it live on Scottish Air. I'm actually a Morris dancer. So Northwest Morris dancer. But I do the style which is Northwest, so from the northwest of England. So it's not hankies and stuff like that. It's completely kind of different thing.
Pig's bladders, are they involved somewhere?
No, not that kind of rubbish. No. It's a mill tradition, actually. Northwest tradition. So it's from the cotton mills and things like that. So it's completely different, with clogs and all that kind of thing.
Yeah, brilliant.
But anyway, so I sort of started with that. But I guess my dad is a bit of a jazzer, so I always had I always listened to sort of 1920s trad jazz and things like that, ragtime, and all that kind of stuff when I was growing up. So it's not just, and then obviously bluegrass. I'm kind of influenced by bluegrass music and all sorts, really trance, anything really. So that's the kind of influence.
If I can get a second to redeem myself. When I said cut, that was me telling a joke. I didn't mean that, because I did research yourself, and I did when you said about the Morris dancing and the weave and the mill side of it. There's a similarity between the rhythm of it all, and it's very similar to the rowing tunes that we have, the weaving tunes that we have, and all these. It's the same thing. And making music. It's the way that they brought music into a kind of industrious side inside life.
Yeah.
So I was joking when I said no. Tunes.
Strange up here in Shetland, when you're talking about the walking songs and things like that they used when they were doing the tweet and that. There's not a big vocal culture of songs and things. Up in Shetland, there's a lot of instrumentation. There's been fiddles and there's been guitars and keyboards and things, but not a lot of singing. I've hardly heard any songs to do with that at all, But there is, of course, always folk dance, which is very related to Scandinavian folk dance.
Well, and it's funny you say that, because I used to dance the Papastor dance. The
Papastor sword dance,
Yeah, so I used to dance that.
There's still one family up in Bray, the Petersons, that keep that dance alive up here.
Yeah, I've seen the video of them guys.
They still do it. Yeah, which is quite amazing, because it's strange, because being up here in Shetland, but part of the dance, of course, is celebrating King George.
Yeah.
So it's obviously come off a ship or something and ended up.
It's interesting, because I recorded the tune actually with a Shetland fiddle player, Ross Cooper. So me and Ross recorded that on an album I did about traditional dance. It was Patsy Reed and Ross Cooper were playing on it, and and it's a great tune though, absolutely cracking tune, slick. Yeah,
no, it's amazing. I think Ross was up here last week. I'm not sure he was up here this week or where he is, but I think he's been about. So because he was recording an album with his brother.
Really? His brother's a fantastic guitarist.
Yeah, Ryan. Yeah, brilliant guitar player too. So it's but you've played with some different folk for the not in the folk world. I noticed on this bio here, Robbie Williams, people like that.
Yeah, so I played on Robbie's last 2 records, and how that relationship came about was that I'm good friends with his songwriter, a guy called Guy Chambers. And we met about 10 years ago now. We met. I did a sort of band thing with the BBC, and it was it got musicians from different backgrounds, and that kind of thing, and it was a 3-part series, and it was basically orchestrated by Goldie, the DJ, and drum bass guy, and Guy Chambers was part of that, sort of mentoring, I guess, and we just got on really well, and we just kept in contact, and then I've ended up doing quite a lot for him over the years, session work and stuff in London where he's based, and I've been on a couple of Robbie's albums, which is quite bizarre.
It's great. I mean, it's great. It's fantastic. And then you were nominated for the BBC Two Musician of the Year. 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Never won though. I'm gonna have to give him a slap on the wrist for that.
You're talking about the different genres of music that you played in, but the different genres of awards that you've been involved with, all the radios, MTV, everything. You've been there.
Yeah, it's a funny old thing, isn't it? Because you sort of, I sort of identify, I guess, as a folk musician to a certain degree, but because I just like playing music from all over the place, really. And I guess that's kind of influenced my last record, which was about the European Union, and and it wasn't really a political statement as such. It was more like I was just really interested in music from the different countries, and we can see how similar some of the tunes were. That's what I found fascinating with it. When the record, the stuff coming up, and I was like, so there's a Spanish tune that I played, and it was like the first bit was like an Irish tune,
And something that's quite interesting. See over the months that me and Peter have been, like, we started this on a Canadian radio show months ago. And Cape Breton, and one of the things that I learned of that, I think it answered a few questions for Peter, although he would have known it anyway, was the difference in the styles was because they were strict in their dancing.
Yeah,
and we had more of a Cayley band scene that was getting more progressive into kind of rock Cayley band, pop Cayley band, and all the other sort of stuff. So ours had changed quite a bit, which dancing was the big thing out there, and that was I think the reason for the difference was. It was much more strict into that scene. Probably what the Scottish country dance scene is, it doesn't move from that tempos. But so I lost myself where I was going there. But the difference in the dance, like that tempo scene. And that's kind of like the difference, I think.
Well, it was interesting. All the tunes that I researched with the EU thing were more or less related to dance, and they're quite strict as well in their sort of dance styles as well. It was fun. It's fascinating, like seeing all of it.
There was one.
I just remembered where I was going there. So, well, me and Peter spoke about the strictness in the tempo, and we talked about jigs one day, and how, like, if we're playing for jigs. If you play a 9/8 by mistake, there's no way out of that. You've knackered the mathematics of the whole thing, and you'll never get back out. But then, if you look at European dance tunes, they're in all sorts of different time signatures. So it's funny to see that things are strictly 4/4 or 2/4 or 3, not 3/4, but strictly one. When you go into Europe, it's all sorts of, the actual dance is in all sorts of time signatures. It's fascinating.
There was one tune turned up that it was a chap for Exeter got in touch with me about it up here in Shetland, and he sent me this polka, and it was an unusual polka because I think the second phrase in it's got 10 bars, so it kicks out of the 8-bar phrase. And I knew it up here because it's a tune that they teach to the school kids in the fiddle, and they call it the 7-step polka here. He had another name for it. I can't remember the name now. But when we got chatting about it, he had a version of the same tune from Holland and one from Denmark as well. And it was almost like the loop from Shetland right down the coast, right back up again. It was almost like the heron fishing. It's when it was almost like it had gone with the heron boats and done its round.
Yeah.
So it's quite amazing, you know. Same tune, very sort of different. So your website, do you have a web store on there that people can go out and buy recordings and things, etc.?
Yeah. So my website is it's www.willpound.com. If you go on to Google and just type in Willpound Bandcamp, you can actually order stuff directly from there as well. And you can sort of follow me on Bandcamp, and I do put messages out and things like that on it, advertised. But yeah, I do have a website. So if you want to follow stuff there, I've got a mailing list and all that kind of things. So, you know,
and a regular Sunday show as well. And a regular Sunday show as well.
Yeah, I have a regular Sunday show on my music page. And I have also there's a group called Will's Sunday Concerts, and that keeps you updated with stuff quite a lot, and that's on Facebook. I also have a Twitter, so I'm Will Harmonica on Twitter as well. I'm on Instagram as well. So if you do want to follow my stuff and all that kind of thing, then go follow it.
Ladies and gentlemen at home, please support this young man. It would be fantastic to go in there and find some of his stuff. Do you fancy giving us a quick blast before?
Yeah, I'll give you through this one. This is I thought I'd do this because it'd be quite a bit of fun. So this is the Monty Python theme tune. I'm going to play all the parts. There's 5 parts to it, so I'm only going to play it once.
Okay, excellent. Fabulous.
Okay.
Hey, the Liberty Bell, isn't it? Is that the Liberty Bell?
Yeah, the Liberty Bell March.
Yeah.
Written by a guy called Tom Sousa. And I actually did a recording of that on my Morris album, actually, because it was played in brass bands for Morris, Northwest Morris, and with an accordionist called John Kirkpatrick. Do you know John? Have you come across
I have heard the name.
I was playing the accordion, I was playing the harp. But
fantastic.
Fancy having a listen. Yeah, that's a good recording. I enjoyed that one, doing that with John.
Brilliant. Well, already I've been looking at some of the comments when you were playing there, and there's quite a few people on this show saying, "Gosh, we've not heard of this guy before. How have we not heard of this guy before? We're going to look him up. We're going to look into where he is." So that's brilliant. That's us. That's what we wanted to happen. That's what we were hoping would happen, that people were getting to different audiences and new people. So there you go. There's things like that coming up all the time. So that's fantastic.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure to chat to you guys, and thanks for having me on the show.
Well, thank you so much for being on, and I think you've made Ross's year. Ross, you're muted.
I'm back on.
No, can't hear you.
No,
back in the game.
Absolutely fantastic. You were the first person in the second person in lockdown when I went out to see who else was out there, and you've been my number one person that I've absolutely blown me away. And when I looked through and I seen that sea tune, the Caledonia, that really, the Concerto Caledonia tune about the seal fishermen. I wondered if maybe if you got bored over the next lockdown that you're in, there's a fantastic Hebrew called McDougall's Gathering.
Oh, okay, cool.
And that, with the harmonica over the box, a man like you could do it real justice. There's examples of Roddy McLeod doing the Desperate Battle, which is a tune of that you might have heard that's out there just now. But McDougall's Gathering deserves
I'll check that out.
Yeah, it'd be perfect for a man like you to explore it on a different level. I think it'd be great.
Great.
Fantastic. But there you go, folks. Will Pound, check out Will's website. This is all recorded, so you can look back. Don't worry about pens and papers. It's all there. And just Google them. There can't be too many Will Pounds about, I wouldn't think.
No, I don't
Will
think
Pound and harmonica. Listen, thanks very much, Will. Thank you so much.
Yes,
It's been a
guys.
pleasure.
Hope to see you in the
flesh someday. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Absolutely made my night. Have a good evening.
Wow. Well, there we go. This show just gets better and better.
It does,
We get all these amazing people on, and to hear the harmonica played like that, well, you can't beat it.
I've never heard it played like that. I've never.
No, it's amazing, because the way he said he had found all the sounds himself and made them himself. And
I think that's the thing about the harmonica. Like when you look at like I mentioned about Woody Guthrie, he actually learned to play it upside down because the area of America that he was in at the time, the people played it upside down because it sounded more like the trains that were passing by. It's just you make that instrument, you can make sound like anything if you wanted to.
I think I'll maybe go for that style with the pipes. I could just start saying that, well, I'm doing my own thing. I'm doing.
Turn them upside down.
That's why that sounded like that.
Turn them upside down and just hoover the house.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, this is fantastic. Right, listen, we've got another amazing guest coming on from Loch Gilphead this time. In our Argyllshire, we've got Mr. Archie McAllister. Hello, Archie.
Hi there, Peter. How you doing? How's it going there?
How you doing? Nice to meet you, Archie. How you doing?
Aye, fine, thanks. Yourselves?
You will.
As well as can be,
Yeah, I know. Well, you've been full-time musician now for how many years now?
Full time's probably over 25 years anyway.
Yeah, and we've never seen anything like this
since the 90s.
Yeah, we've never seen anything like this.
Never.
Aye. I remember going back with yourself right back to when we were about 16-year-old or something like that. Was about the first times I met you. So.
That's right. I think it was.
I mind phoning you one night to come and play fiddle with me at a trio competition.
That's right. Aye.
Musselburgh. That's when we had phones. Mind, we used to dial phones. Archie, you came out and played. We had a great day.
One of the tunes he gave me, and I was just absolutely crapping myself. It was Farrakhan Matheson.
Oh, aye.
And you've got to watch.
It's got all the kind of accidentals in it and things, isn't it?
Aye, it's quite tricky in the fiddle,
Oh, you done very well. You survived it.
Yeah.
Aye.
So what have you been up to then? Have you been just doing a bit of teaching online and things? And
I've been teaching online. I've got about 8 or 9 pupils that come to us, and it's great having them and doing a bit of that. You might actually know some of the pupils. Louise Wood, she used to be.
Oh yeah, she was up in Shetland, a music teacher.
Probably Louise will be watching tonight, but she was.
Yeah.
She was a teacher up in Shetland, I'm sure.
Yeah, Louise was up here for a number of years. I hope she's doing fine. That's
But,
right. She'd been down that way before, I think, and then came up here and then went back down that way again. I think, didn't she?
She's one of my pupils as well. But
Great.
and she's been doing a lot of composing too, So
Right, brilliant.
I've got other pupils from Tarbert to Germany to.
Were you kind of like the rest of us that you had a full book of work and then all of a sudden it just stopped in March?
Aye, just everything went, I had all my own gigs, and everything would be Skippenish as well. All their gigs just went. That was it, just like everybody else, and there was nothing you could do,
I think you started with Skippenish right back when in their early days, didn't you?
It was, I've played since their second album. It was that Scary Vor.
Yeah.
They asked us to play in that and playing piano and playing fiddle on that. That was back 2003 or something like that.
I think it was 2003.
Aye.
Yeah.
Was that right, Ross? Aye.
Yeah, I think it was.
Down there.
Aye.
I think it was 2003. Aye.
But they've had a great journey, like Skippenish, eh?
Totally. Aye, like Skippenish. There, like, as you said there, Peter. They were a Cayley band away at the start.
Yeah.
And they've went on to kind of evolve into a kind of more kind of Celtic rock band sort of thing,
Yeah.
Which the punters love, and
Yeah.
they sort of need that sort of thing,
Yeah. Shake the hair down and go for it.
But
aye. It's they get more of a crowd, more kind of age difference as well.
Yeah.
It goes from real young to old.
Aye. Well, it's attracting the younger age group. That's right. And it's so important.
Aye.
And that's interesting to see these bands make that journey. When you see them on the stage, like some of these young bands like Tide Lines and like Skeravore, Skippenish, they're like total. That's the finale band that you go to see a festival at. These
Right.
bands, and these are the CDs that you're buying. They're fantastic, but it's not just like the interesting thing for me is it's not what you're seeing on the stage for that show. Like you should go back and see where they've come from, the roots, the players that's been in, the influences they've had. Like that music story is so much better for me individually. But like when you look to see the big crescendo on stage, it's fantastic too.
Aye.
I bet there's been some interesting nights over the years, though.
There has been the older days, right enough. These young boys are starting to calm down. It must be all these really big gigs. So drinking before the gigs, like the old days. So it's it's they're well behaved. They've actually calmed me down.
You used to turn up, remember in the olden days when you turned up with a 6-piece and they put you in one caravan with 3 beds in it and things like that. That was the days. And you were lucky if you didn't find somebody else's underwear that had been in the caravan the night before you or something. That happened once. Horrible experience. Archie, have you got the fiddle? Do you fancy giving us a very tune?
I'll give you a wee tune.
Ladies and gentlemen, anybody that's on here and you're enjoying the show, please share it about. We want as many people to share the show about as possible. And hope you're all enjoying it. And send in any comments and chats. And this young man here is going to take it. I can say young man to Archie because we're about the same age. So that's it.
He's got a much better hairdo. I'm just saying that now.
Oh, you're for it. My wife cut my hair yesterday out on the step. You're for it now, McNaughton.
Been quite good at it.
She'll be able to finish it tomorrow, Peter, eh?
Yeah. Living dangerously. Archie, what are you going to give us, sir?
Well, I was thinking and giving you a wee set of my own. It's a tune called. It starts off with a slow air. I don't want to bore folk right away, but
No.
it's a tune called Galaxy, and it was written just for the area of Kintyre and Isla. It kind of evokes that area, and I'll play that along with the Rins of Isla, a couple of jigs, the Rins of Isla, and Round the West.
Fantastic.
Lovely stuff.
Take it away, sir. Take it away.
I'll have a wee drink before we start. It's just water.
Expert, boy. Expert.
You said that evoked the feeling of the West Coast, and I think the three tunes together, the build of the three tunes together, did exactly that.
Thanks very much.
You know, the West Coast have got a real beautiful feel to it, and I think that did exactly that. Eh?
Aye.
Archie, you can't turn your mic up a wee bit, can you?
Aye,
Some of the folks out
can't do it.
when you were speaking, they were wondering if you could just turn it up a wee bit. That'd be brilliant.
I sure can.
Look at that.
There, can you hear me now?
Well, I could hear you before. Just somebody said if we could turn that excellent man up just a little bit.
Aye. I'll
Archie, you've done a lot of competing, and one of the things in your bio said that the experience of meeting other musicians was a big influence for you. That's quite an interesting thing to say. That's along the lines of how I think, actually.
Aye, totally. I was, like when I started off a fiddle, I was taught by Maurice Duncan, and likes Maurice taught us in the sort of northeast style of the fiddle playing, and that sort of started me getting into competitions and stuff like that, you know. And,
did Maurice stay in the West Coast though?
Aye, he was in Campbelltown.
He was in Campbelltown as well, was he?
Aye, like Maurice there, he was taught by a guy in Campbelltown called Tom McGilvery.
Okay. Yeah, Maurice was a great player too.
Aye. Tom was more kind of a classically trained player, but he went up to Inverness to get taught by Donald Riddle.
Okay. Yeah.
And Donald, he's taught a lot of great players like Duncan Chisholm, Ian McFarlane, that sort of lineage, you know. But he sort of taught him this sort of kind of space style, which he passed on to me, you know. So, you know, that's sort of given me the kind of northeast style to play at competitions, what they were looking for. And myself being from the West Coast, you know, I would have to play in that sort of style, even though I did play as a West Coaster as well, you know. Yeah,
that's right. You were playing to the judge sometimes then, or what the competition was requiring, really. It was just...
Exactly, aye.
But, and then, I mean, I noticed you had done some of your, like Hector McAndrew and Angus Cameron and Judy Davidson and people like that. All great players that you met and admired, you know.
Aye, likes Hector McAndrew. I've listened to his tapes and stuff, like his albums and stuff like that. Angus Cameron. I met him in Kinnamuir once, you know, like, and it was great to meet him.
He was some player.
An amazing player. He played with Bobby McLeod and all that. And
all these guys. Saying that, when you say Bobby McLeod, you were kind of brought up in dance band and folk circles in a way. Your family was very musical, wasn't it? There was always accordions. Your brother Alec plays the accordion, doesn't he? And
that's right. Alex folk player as well.
And did your family play it?
Aye, they played on both sides. Like my father's side, his father was a button box player, and all the uncles were all kind of fiddlers and all that, you know. You don't really hear much about them, you know. Been trying to find more out about them, you know, but from the family, I'm not sure I could get a few stories about them, you know. But likes my mother's side, they were like mandolin players and box players as well, and singers.
Yeah. Because the thing being, geography-wise, in Campbellton, when you were in Campbellton, that made it quite a distance to get to anywhere, ever, didn't it? You had a long haul before you went anywhere, really.
Totally, aye.
So you must have been up and down that road a few times.
it's a long winding road, as they say, you know.
Yeah.
Do you think that categorises a sound? You've mentioned it a few times in the show, Peter. Up in Shetland, at one point there was 12 different areas where you could hear.
Yeah, well, at one point in time, the different islands all had their own kind of style or their own wee unique thing.
I think you find that and also I think the West Coast, certainly in the Hebrides with piping, you can hear different style, a completely different style. But round like Loch Gilphead or that area that you're talking about, because of how hard it is to travel anywhere, it must kind of isolate or condense that music into a certain style.
I've never really heard very much of the Hebrides pipers because you can't hear them for years.
They're worth a listen, Peter.
Sorry.
Broaden it.
No, I can. But you went on for there actually. So you came up through the dance band stuff, and when I met you in the early days, you were playing with people like Alistair McCush and bands like that. And you still have had your kind of a foot in both camps, haven't you, right through? Because then you were with Ross Kennedy, and I would say that was more on the folk side. Ross was with the Tannahill Weavers for a while, wasn't he? And then,
that's right. Aye, it was good to have both camps, you know. I've had that from the very early days, you know, when I played with a local band in Campbelltown, the Wee Toon Tellers, and folk music has always been in my life, you know.
Yeah.
As well as
I'm a great believer that all the music comes from the same source, and it's presented differently, possibly in a folk version or a dance band version. But I really try to. I like both camps, as you say, and I enjoy it. And I think people, if they just sat down and looked at it a wee bit more, they would realise the tunes are actually the same tunes, just presented differently sometimes.
Totally,
it's just,
aye. You know, I've sat down and listened to bands like Dervish, you know.
Yeah.
And you sit at a piano and vamp with them, and they turn into an Irish Cayley band. It's just the vamp that'll change it, you know.
Yeah, just that. And you even had a show on telly with Mr. Fergie McDonald, the famous Fergie.
I've been on. I was up in Inverness a few years back, and I've done a few things with Fergie, you know, and
yes.
He's always great crack, Fergie, you know.
Because we had your pal Alan Henderson on 2 or 3 weeks ago there.
Oh, aye.
And Alan was talking about Fergie as well. And of course, Alan played in an album with you as well, didn't he? I think he was on one of your albums, was he?
Alan played on the Fiddler's Rock that I did, the album in 2007. It was a while back. But, and Ian MacDonald was the producer on that as well. So he played the flute. His piper, McDonald family for Glenwig.
Yeah. Quite bunch.
Unbelievable.
Quite boys, the McDonald Glenwig boys.
Pipers, aye.
Yeah.
Something else.
Is the bottle, you know?
Yeah. Is there do you still have a lot of these albums for sale in that? Is there anywhere folk can go and buy these albums? Or?
As you know, you can get them on iTunes, but I don't have a hard copy of the Fiddler's Rock anymore. I don't have that, but
okay. But if folk want to buy some of your stuff, they could go on iTunes and buy stuff.
Yes, aye. But you know, I'm meaning to make an album. I've got plenty of material, you know, but it's just getting round to doing it. I've just been that busy.
I see you've been playing quite a lot with Sheila's as well for Oban.
Aye. Sheila and myself is we're going to be doing something before this with Lauren McDougall and Finlay Wells, and just we were going to be practicing and all the rest of it, but that kind of get hit in the head, you know. But
it'll come back. Hopefully, we'll get into it all again.
It will come back, and I think we things like this, keeping things alive and introducing people to other people is going to keep everybody going, keep that kind of energy alive, I think.
Totally, aye. I totally agree.
I mean, as I say, you've worked with new bands, you've worked with Gaelic singers. I noticed even like Armlon Gillis there. I mean, you can't get a more famous name than that kind of style thing on that side of things. So you've had a good career working with experienced people and new bands at the same time, and just this new fresh approach to things, you know.
Totally, aye. Just I've played. I've enjoyed playing with Gaelic singers, you know, and it's been great, you know. And I've played with quite a few, and like Karen Masson was involved with the albums that I did with Ross.
Yeah.
You know, like, so it's always been there, you know.
Are you? Do you speak Gaelic?
No. I know a few words, you know, but
Yeah.
I think you know, it's there, you know.
I think the fiddle, when you listen to a Gaelic singer, and you get the fiddle tuned in and right on the button with it, it's the most haunting or the most precise
It's a natural thing.
It's beautiful. The fiddle's made for it, or the two's made together. It's beautiful.
It's distinct to the human voice. I think the fiddle, you know.
Yeah. When we started this show, we started off with doing a show for Canada, Ross and myself, and I noticed you'd been over there with the Jura boys and that as well, and you kind of formed a friendship with Jerry Holland at the time as well.
That's right. I was playing with the Jura Cayley band. We were with KRL at the time, and we were to go out there and record, and Jerry was doing this producer for us, and it was magic meeting him, you know, and sort of other Cape Breton musicians like the McNeil, Seamus McNeil on the piano. He was playing piano on the album as well, and just meeting different musicians like Kyle McNeil as well. It was at that time, it was quite an eye opener, you know, to see you go to other places and you think that the level's higher, you know, like or you get that feeling when you go to Shetland as well. It's got a kind of, you know, it's like mine going up there at first, God, the level was so high, you know.
Yeah.
And it was just the same with Cape Breton. They were years ahead of us, you know.
Going for it, yeah. Have you got another tune? You got another tune you could use? And then I'm going to speak a wee bit about all your teaching after that, because you've done some amount of teaching actually. So, we'll get to that. You can tell us the clean stories after. we're nearly past. We're past the watershed now.
Well, I'll play a long set. I'll play some right good going tunes. I've learnt them over the years from players like Ali Bain, and Graham Townsend was another great influence. Waiting for the Federals, Labastrang, Andy Bruins, Mittens Breakdown, Arkansas Traveller, and Riding Fiddle. Just a short set, you know.
Magic, go for it, man.
I can't wait to hear it.
Aye.
Yes.
Woo-hoo!
Fantastic one. Jump on.
What's the name of the engine? What's the engine there?
That's called riding the fiddle.
Certainly.
How did I just knew you were going to ask that. I just knew you would ask that. I just knew it.
Is this an X-rated show? Aye.
No, no.
If you want.
Yeah, everybody
Tune in.
Everybody kids, I would go
You come
right
to
in
that
the
level
fiddle.
if you want.
That was absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant. Yeah, there
Thanks
we
very
go.
much.
So anyway, I was going to ask you quickly about teaching. You've ended up teaching a lot of faces, and I know it's the Boys and Fiddles Bewley week. You've been teaching there.
Aye. That was a few years ago, right enough.
Yeah.
I was up in Bewley for the week, and
Yeah.
that
Do you
was,
enjoy teaching?
I do. Aye. I enjoy it.
Can I ask you a question about teaching? Because you've obviously been on the stage and big stages with Skipperish. I think you've been out to South Korea and all sorts of other places. I don't know if
You've
you
not
can
been-
bet.
What about North Korea?
I've actually been there. Aye.
Have you?
Aye. No, I haven't.
Apparently, North Korea's full of accordion players, by the way.
Aye, they're good ones over there.
Where they should be.
Apparently, they're very, very good. Apparently, you have to be good. If you're not good, you're out.
That's where they get sent.
One of my
No,
pupils.
I actually had a sensible question there, Peter.
All right,
But
go ahead.
teaching, you started the whole teaching question, but I've got an interesting one actually that I'd like to know. Like you've maybe had to take on teaching slightly differently or more online than you've done before, like most of us have had. But you've obviously been on the big stage with Skipperish and you've been international with Skipperish. Can you see people at a very early age, like we prodigies or people with the right sort of ducks in a row to be on the stage, or do you do them? Because for well, ducks in a row. You know, like, are you able to get to the next stage, the next stage, the next stage? Ducks in the stage.
Right.
But like, so for piping, it's very cliche, where you kind of have to teach them. I'm actually glad that it's slightly changing just now, but the old-fashioned way was you have to compete, and you kind of teach them competing stuff. But now it's kind of going through the graded system a bit more, where they're getting the theory, they're getting a bit more different repertoire, they're getting introduced to different things at an equal level as they go. But you that's been on the stage and teaching, can you see people at an early stage that you think, aye, you've got what it takes to be on the stage later? I don't know if it works like that.
Oh, like maybe one of my own pupils, is that what you're saying?
Aye, or can you just see the characters that you think, aye, he's got it, or she's got it, or
aye. If you hear some of these young players, you know, they're phenomenal, you know, and I think a lot of them have got the ability to go on the stage, you know, and perform, you know. Just got to put the work into it, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and it's
getting them to put the work in just now that's quite hard sometimes, because there's so many variants in life and so many distractions.
Well, certainly get the time just now, you know.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. It's now or never.
Aye.
Work's a big thing, and I think who was it that who mentioned it in a previous show up in Newest? The show with Sandy Brechin.
Alan.
Alan. Aye. He mentioned it. He was quite stern about how the parental role in having a good routine is very important.
I totally agree with that. You know, like you know, you've got to put the practice into it. You know, like any of my players, you know, like I'll give them the tunes, I'll give them either scales or whatever. You've got to go away and practice it. It's only yourself it's going to make it better, you know, and you've got to have a bit of ability as well, you know. And it helps, you know. Like I've had a couple of pupils, you know, say Frank Rochford or Murray Vwano, you know, and they're both very good players, you know, and all the rest of them have been very good to the levels that they're at the time, you know.
Yeah, good.
But there's, you know, wee Frank, he won the mod, you know, so he's done well, and Mary Vwano, she's went on to do good things as well, you know.
I suppose you do well just to survive the mod.
Well,
you get a medal for surviving.
I remember one year I was up in Shetland and I did Shetland, and then I came from Shetland straight to the mod.
Oh.
And it was like playing with 3 different bands: Fergie, Alistair, and I can't remember the other band. I think it was Gunna Sound. But it was
must have been
coming from Shetland, you know, out of the fire into the frying pan, you know.
Yeah. Good. What have you got a big favourite gig that you can mind that you've done that you'll never forget?
With the likes of Skipnish.
Or anything, whatever.
Aye.
Whatever you particularly liked. It might not be a big gig, it might just be a wee gig.
I love going over to the Jura Music Festival, you know. That's always been a favourite, you know.
Right.
There's, you know, always love going up to Shetland as well, you know.
Yeah.
But they
they
always drag you out the lounge there, you know. Screaming, you know.
Not just now. We've not been there for months.
No.
But and then you're playing with Craig Payton's band now as well, haven't you? You're playing with Craig.
I was playing with Craig there just recently. It was I'd been playing at the Clydesdale Club, and it was Ian Cathcart asked us along to that, and I needed a piano player for that, and it was he mentioned Craig was available, you know, so here he came along and did it, and
he's an awesome player too.
Unbelievable, aye.
Yeah.
So we did a wee show on Take the Floor as well.
Mm-hmm.
And Jennifer got us onto that, you know, so really pleased with that, you know.
I like how Archie calls working for the BBC a wee show. It's not bad. Anyway, wasn't Archie
a wee big show?
A wee big show.
Actually, what are you looking forward to the most when this is over? What would your perfect wee gig be when the lockdown's over and we can play again like we did?
I just look forward to playing to all the festivals again, you know, and you know, like Jura, going back to Campbelltown, Mullingar Music Festival, and just hoping we all get back to normal again, you know, and
well, I'm sure
all different, you know, just playing with Skipnish and all the rest of it, and, you know, just getting back to normal, you know. I'm
sure us accordion and fiddle players have got a better chance than the pipers. You see over there, oh no! No, I play the pipes as well. I can't go on about that. Did you do?
I've got a chanter that Stuart Liddell gave me, but I never made any.
You played. Did you not play that one of the videos you gave us for YouTube? Was that not the Inverary Pipe Band's concert? Did you not do a start up for that one?
Aye. Stuart asked us on that. It was. I was meant to be doing it this year again. That's another thing that.
And that's a huge. I actually, on my superstar predictions that I always get wrong every year. I had Inverary for winning the championships this year. That was my prediction, just in my own algorithms.
All right, okay.
A bit like that. But I really wanted them to win this year. I really wanted them to win this year.
Yeah, good.
Archie,
do you fancy one quick tune before we go? Because we're rattling on through the night here. I can't believe this. We're nearly at 2 hours again. It's amazing.
I'll play another Jerry Holland tune for you.
Magic.
Called Brenda Stubbart.
Oh yeah, cracking tune.
Take it away.
Fantastic, brilliant. Yes. Some nifty key changes there.
Aye.
Changes.
B minor change, aye. Brenda Stubbart.
Aye.
Yeah, Jerry Holland.
Yeah.
Archie, thank you so much for coming on and giving us your time on a Sunday night.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it, boys. Thanks for
It's
asking.
been, it's been brilliant having you on, and I hope we can get a tune in the flesh sometime again.
Aye, totally. Aye.
Say hello to the family and look after yourselves down there and stay safe, man.
Aye. Thanks very much for asking.
And thank you so much. Expert player. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Archie.
See you again soon.
Wow, there we go. This 1.5 hour show that we do that ends up being 2 hours all the time.
Yeah.
Well, folk can't say they're not getting their money's worth, eh?
Aye.
Oh, wait a minute, they're not paying for it.
Oh, aye. We'll need to give them the money back.
Well, I'm not getting it. That's been magic. That's been really good.
Great show, and it's been a great excitement for the week, actually, knowing that the partnership and
everything. So, Tartan tunes in the house, all working together. Great.
Yeah. I know the other outlines
can only go well for it. There's Dick Hamilton there. Glad you enjoyed it, Dick. That's good.
But just to reiterate to the old crew, like, we're not losing anybody. We're just reaching out in a different.
Just the same thing. Everybody that's there, it's exactly the same, but we're just.
Peter's not going to change. He's going to butt in. I'm going to wear a tie. It's all going to be the same every week.
Yeah, I'm still going to steal his jokes if they're any good. He doesn't tell. See, ladies and gentlemen, when we have a wee warm up before we start doing this at the nights, and Ross used to tell a couple of kind of jokes sometimes, and that, but I used to steal them, so he doesn't tell any anymore. So it's got to that stage. Anyway, thank you very much again. Thanks, Ross. That's been a good night. Fair enjoyed it.
I'm going to join you all, and your company of music has been great. I think Will Pound and Archie were a great couple of guests to have on to kind of showcase another audience that were.
And so good to see the two Martin McLeods on earlier on that folk know who they are. And brilliant. Well, I think that's it. We'll see you through the week, folks. One wee quick thing I was going to say just very quickly is sometimes when the instruments are playing, somebody said about the sound quality sometimes, folks, it's just the software that we can use just now, and there's no other software out there. Hopefully it'll get better and better, and we're looking into it all the time. It's kind of designed for us speaking like we're doing just now, and not for compresses to get technical, the instruments. And that's why we get these wee hiccups with every so often. But we are trying, and we're looking at everything, and we're going to hopefully get better and better and better, especially as this platforms are taking off. I'm sure technology will as well. And it'll get better and better.
That's why the accordion sounds bad and the bagpipes sound good. But that's we're looking into that. That's an
Okay, right. There's only so much money you can buy,
but that's the fact. If anybody else out there knows a different platform, we've tried them all. This is the same for everybody. To do, I think.
Yeah. But anyway, thanks very much for joining in tonight. Share about to any of your pals that you think would like it. Go for it. And we'll see you through the week where we'll announce next week's guest. We've got a bit of a special thing happening next week. It's overseas, well overseas. So, well, I'll still be here and you'll still be there, but our guests are well overseas. Looking forward to that too. It's going to be great fun. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you are, take care out there. Stay safe.
Thanks for tuning in.
Look after each other. And it's a good night for me.
And a good night from him.
Yes.